Hello everybody, it's your favorite West Virginia Space here, and now that we are in the month of Spooks, otherwise known as October, it's time to make, of course, more Halloween-themed videos, and one of them is that I watched a show relatively recently that I hoping was good called Wolfpack on Paramount+. Now listen, okay, the fact is that nobody talked about it, should have tipped me off, it wasn't going to be good, but, you know, it was getting the month of spooky, and I wanted to see a nice spooky show. You know, I thought, oh, okay, this is an interesting setup. You know, I mean, we got a forest fire and werewolves. Okay, unleashing a monster. Okay, I can see where we're going here. But I must say, I didn't expect that to be great. But oh man, it was bad. Like, objectively bad. Like, no wonder this show hasn't gotten greenlit for a second season, because it is just bad. And I want to go into it, and specifically how you, when writing your stories down the line, can avoid falling into the same pitfalls it did. So, let's begin. To give a very basic overview of the show, since no one else has seen it, basically there's this small town and a massive forest fire happens, and because of it, the animals are going crazy and stuff gets trafficked, and several teenagers get bit by a werewolf. Well, they learn that later, but it's not the point. And blah blah blah, they turn into werewolves, they form with some other people as they try to deal with the big werewolf that's causing all these problems, and of course people chasing, trying to figure out what's going on. Okay, very basic setup, and I purposely kept it vague, but overall it's not the worst start of the story. The only problem is it fails on every conceivable level. First of all, let's start with the characters, but I feel that's some of the worst part of it. Literally, they are all bland as heck. Like most of them have like one personality trait. Like the main anxiety kid and that like a chick with the younger brother. It's like, yeah, those two have like one or maybe two personality traits. The that one like rebel guy, he has like 2 or 3 maybe, and his sister just has none. Like, if you asked me to tell me one personality trait of her, I could not tell you it. I could not tell you a single personality trait she has. And for the 4 main characters of a story over 8 episodes, that's not good if I cannot tell you what one personality trait of one of them is, and the only other 2 can only have 2 or 3. And not even broad things like angry or rebellious. Okay, one of them has a rebellious trait, but the point is they're very bland for the main characters of a story, and not like in the classic like, oh, neutral hero arc kind of man. I mean, like Captain America has way more personality than these people in his left pinky toe. And it does get a little bit better on the supporting cast. Some of the other teenage characters or young adult characters are just there. Like, it mainly since they're just there to fulfill a purpose in the story, pretty much, and not have much of a character, they actually end up being better in some way, because at least I know what they're doing. And there's this one who's kind of a helpful guy, but, like, not helpful, he's, like, kind of antagonistic, kind of not, kind of just doing his own thing. And he actually has pretty okay character for what little we get to see him, but he also just disappears in the final episode, and I'm still not sure where he went. And unless I missed something. And then you get the dad of 2 of the 2 characters, or the adopted father, whatever you want to call it, and he has like 2 different personalities that he switches between. Randomly, you got like the overprotecting, caring father and like the pseudo werewolf hunter, kinda, but not really. And these 2 do not mesh at all, and I swear he has like a split personality disorder or something. And the worst part is he's one of the better characters. And then you have like the female FBI agent who's like played by I think the chick from Puffy the Vampire Slayer, which it has no bearing on the story. It really doesn't. And she has like 5 different motivations that are like not handled very well, and things still don't make sense even after the reveal. And it just hurts, and it makes no sense, and her actions just do not add up in any sane way. And the worst part is those 2 last characters I mentioned, the father character and the Buffy lady's character, are the best characters written in the show. When they are on screen, at least some of the time, it's when the show is the most interesting. And they are not the primary characters. Literally, the ending of the show is dedicated to what these 2 are doing. That is not good for when they're not supposed to be the main characters. They're like secondary characters, but the story seems to forget that. And like overall, the characters just suck. And it kind of bleeds into the plot as well. The plot is, like, so all over the place. Like, it's like, I could not tell you if this was a story about teenagers trying to deal with a problem, or trying to just survive in this whole mess, or a forest fire, or a big bad werewolf, or trying to cure the big bad werewolf, or trying to kill him. Because it's all these things, but not in a cohesive way. It's not like a flow of events. There is technically, but it's just so messy. It's like it's just a mess. It's like nothing ever really makes sense, and that's the problem. Like, we also got the mysterious caller who calls in at convenient times to give them information, which is never explained, which is kind of a problem because he's such a big deal to the story that he kind of needs to be explained at this point, and they just didn't in the first season give us any real information on him, except the fact I think he wants them to stay werewolves, but that's all I got read on this guy. And this actually bleeds into a whole nother problem, which is mystery in this sense. This strictly comes, at least in my interpretation, from a complete lack of information. We very rarely understand what's going on, and not like in a mysterious kind of way, like in a the rules keep changing and things don't make sense in a way that is not fun. It's aggravating. And that's a problem because it's very, very bad in a lot of ways. Because it makes it hard to get into the story because the rules keep shifting all the time. And it's just not working in a way that makes any sense. And this bleeds into a whole other problem, which I'm giving its own section. The rules for these werewolves are just weird and do not make sense. Like, it's like, okay, so they have like every member of the pack, which, by the way, what is up with this weird supernatural concept of pack? I don't like it. It's not cleverly done, and I wish it wouldn't exist. It's just weird. But anyway, is that each member of the pack, or werewolf or whatever, has like their own little special ability, little X-Men special boy. Like, one of them's super strong, one of them's super fast, one of them can smell really well, one of them can hear really well, another one can heal things, and one of them has the... Oh, actually, I'll get into that in a second. But, and the thing is, they don't have, like, those powers outside that. Like, yeah, the one guy who has super strength is strong, but no one else is. Except when the plot kind of demands it. I think it's like if they work together or in sync, they can sometimes draw on the other one's ability, it seems. But that's never explained, not even like in a passing way of, when we work together, we can have each other's powers. Like, no. It's just like when the plot demands it. You're going to be hearing that a lot. Take a drink every time you hear me say when the plot demands it. And it's just not cleverly done at all. And it's also stupid because it makes the werewolves seem weak as heck. Because it's like, oh yeah, most of you aren't actually stronger than an average person. So it's like faster or can do really anything. And that's kind of embarrassing when you only have the one thing. And it gets even worse when the ones who do have powers often aren't that actually good. Like, the hearing one is pretty useful, funny enough, but like the smell one really never comes up. The super speed is hard to gauge because I can't tell how much of it is bad editing that the show has or it's actually going really fast but there's also moments where like things just do not add up, so I'm just going to ignore that. And then super strength is just pathetic. It's truly pathetic. Like the big strength feat used to show how strong the one with super strength is like punching through a wooden board. Not even a particularly thick one. It's like, dude, karate masters do this regularly. And the other super strong strength feat is like, he was able to lift a barbell. Well, not barbell, but like one of those weighting equipment things. I forget the name. Deadlift, maybe? I don't know. But I'm not good with gym stuff. But the point is that. But the thing is, those are normal weights. Like, I don't know why everyone in the gym is like, oh, look at how strong he is. It's like, no, he really isn't. In fact, if I'm guessing right based on visuals, I'm pretty sure Fred from Scooby-Doo is stronger than him. Imagine being a werewolf and you're so strong, you think, I'm super strong, getting beat up by Fred. I mean, granted, it's not as bad as, the copy Fred, but still. And then the healing power for one of them is just kind of weird. Like, regeneration is a pretty normal werewolf ability at this point, or supernatural ability. So having that be it doesn't make sense either, because other characters show regeneration, but it just seems to be slower. I guess the rules don't make sense, like I said. And then this even gets back to worse, is that one of them, the big bad werewolf's powers, spoilers, I guess, is that it's not that he has a super werewolf form, because we'll get into that, but he has the ability to turn other people into werewolves by biting them. What is normally a very core ability of werewolves has been stripped away to being one guy's special power. Because that makes sense. And it gets even worse when it's like... Oh, I forgot to mention how the werewolf form works, actually, because it's rather funny. So, the big bad werewolf has a relatively traditional-looking werewolf form. It's not the best CGI or special effects, but whatever, I'm not going to criticize a show that might have been on a low budget. However, that doesn't excuse these other dudes who, when they rage out, I think it's rage-based, It's like never explained really. I'm pretty sure it's Rage, but I might just be imparting different information of werewolf movies and lore on top of that right now. Is that they go into this supposed werewolf-ish form, but it's like their nails get slightly longer, their teeth get slightly sharper, and their eyes turn yellow. Ooh, how scary. It's like they don't even get sideburns. Dude, fucking Teen Wolf got that at least. Teen Wolf. And the movie it was supposed to be based on actually went the mile and did it. Like, dude, werewolf media has been... Dude, you are being outpaced by Twilight. In fact, that's everything. These werewolves are infinitely weaker and more pathetic than the werewolves from Twilight. You should never have your monster easily be able to say that it is less cool than someone from Twilight. Never. That is like a bare minimum bar you should reach. And it's just pathetic. And like, there's this loose hint that, oh, what if they turn to the full werewolf form? But that never happens. There's no real hint. There's no real idea that's going to happen. It doesn't even make sense. And it seems to just be a thing that the writers care about when they want to. And like, that's another question. How did this like one werewolf get super like normal werewolf thing? I don't understand that. They never explain that. Like, I think it's supposed to be tied to the fire, but the rules around that fire are stupid as heck. So, yeah, just take a shot for the writers. For a show about werewolves, very pathetic werewolves. Also, quick little thing here, I hate the visions or whatever they get. It's stupid. It makes no sense. For crying out loud, why do they keep doing it? It really adds nothing to the plot. The rules of them seem to shift every 5 minutes. Take another shot. And it's just bad. And let's be honest here, 95% were just an excuse to have pseudo-sex scenes. Let's be honest here, okay, people? That's what they did half of this for. Like, I understand that certain of the werewolf media has played with the idea of characters having visions or hallucination kind of deal, but this is not done cleverly, and it was just an excuse to have sex scenes. Let's be honest here. And also, randomly, they then pull like a American Werewolf in London dead person talking thing, which just makes no sense whatsoever. It's just, overall, it's just bad. Like, seriously, this entire concept could have been cut from the story, and the story would have been better for it. It makes no sense. If you're gonna have this weird vision mechanic thing, you know, maybe actually have it make sense and matter in a actually plot relevant way, maybe, or just start to confuse everyone. Okay? We good on that? And although there are other things I could go into, I don't think I will. But the real question is, as writers, what can we learn from this TV show? What knowledge can be gained from looking at this TV show? Well, to be quite frank, actually a few things, but mostly in bad examples. One is having interesting... There's often comments saying that having interesting characters can save a bad story. And though I think that depends, there is definitely some truth to that. Yes, making characters that are actually somewhat interesting would be helpful. Like, just give defined personality traits, or at least use the ones you supposedly say they have, and don't have characters be really stupid for nonsensical reasons. Just have interesting characters, and not even necessarily, well, definitely some kind of character arc or conflict is usually pretty good, but like, just have a noticeable personality would can easily make a story better, and have characters react to things normally too. Like, these characters don't react to things like you think they would, or in any kind of sane way. Another variation on this is actually have a plot that makes sense. There's a common reason why a lot of stories will go out of their way to very quickly explain what the main premise or conflict of the story is, because that usually helps give you a focal point. Because if you keep shifting around the goalposts of what the characters are trying to do in a weird way, you end up in this situation where it's hard to tell what's ever going on at a particular point. Another point is, of course, mystery is good. It can be quite fascinating. But at some point, you have to explain certain things, because otherwise it makes it feel like you are writing yourself into weirdness, where it's just like you can just pull whatever ability or thing you want at no potential cost except for the immersion in the story. So having some set rules actually helps, especially because then the mysteries you do leave behind can actually matter, because you then understand what the context is for some of this stuff. And another thing that can be definitely learned is, if you're making a story about people with powers, whether they be monsters or superheroes, actually make the powers useful and not come off stupid. Like, realistically here, that would have made the show so much better. Like, I know they were, to some extent, trying to go with the furs and fang approach, and just don't forget to, like, actually have that, you know, be useful. And if you're doing a monster, please, like, the monster actually look halfway decent, please. Or at least, you know, better, or however you would word that. Ultimately, though, that is the kind of main theme of Wolfpack, is a very subpar to bad interpretation of how to do a werewolf show. So ultimately, yeah, if it ever comes back for a second season, I would be shocked. Honestly, it probably would have been better as a Teen Wolf spinoff. But ultimately, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? You have any other thoughts? Did you also see the show? Did you like it? Did you hate it like I did? Ultimately, I'll see. Oh, that's just my opinion. I'll see you all next time. Yeah. Hey, why don't you hit that sub button? You're gonna become a subscribble. Get to see my content quicker. Wouldn't that be nice? I bet so.